Hey, what's going on, Beowulf Nation? It's on Beowulf. Man, you guys some people have been asking about this video, so I'm finally putting it together. I'm going to show you guys a comparison between a 2019 GP1800R to a 2018 Sea-Doo RXP X 300. Now, a lot of people know, or if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But if you're new, you want to know that I used to own a 2018 Sea-Doo RXT-X 300. I traded it in to get the GP1800R Yamaha, and I'll show you guys a link up top of that video when I did a comparison, pros and cons between the RXP-X and the RXT-X. Interesting fact to kind of bring up about the RXT-X. I have like full coverage insurance. And an interesting thing is with getting the GP1800R, it was about, I think it's like $185 cheaper insurance having the Yamaha than having the past Sea-Doo I had. So I actually think that this, I have to look at, so, because I switched over when I got this one, but I'm pretty positive that it's even cheaper than the RXP-X 300, which is totally crazy because they're similar in numbers and horsepower, but I mean, it's pretty crazy that one is obviously more cheaper than the other insurance-wise, and they're all insured for the exact same amount of money. It could also relate that, now this isn't knocking Sea-Doo, it's stating facts, Sea-Doo sink because of the carbon seal. That could be the reason why, is what I'm guessing. There's just so many people that have told me, or I've seen it happen, where they got, it doesn't even have to be the 300, it can be like the brand new RXT-Xs they've sunk, or the people got the GTX limited, and it can be, I've seen it with people like less than 30 hours sinking from a carbon seal all the way up to like 200 hours. It's something to kind of think about when you own a Sea-Doo. You know, I see all the time on Instagram, people I follow, they're riding it all day long. And you put those hours on, unless you're smart and change the carbon seal more often, or, you know, more frequent. But the crazy thing is getting about this whole carbon seal thing, and I'll change it to what we're getting at. The crazy thing is, so it's basically like, it's kind of mandatory, you should change it probably between 100 to 150 hours on a Sea-Doo. But wouldn't you figure if it's known to have that big of a difficulty of failing, that Sea-Doo would just have it free for everybody to do? Because it's basically, I mean, I would not want to be offshore the ocean out here where there's tons of sharks and this thing sinks. It makes me like, I've gone out there all the time like alone, way offshore, and as I thought of this thing sinking, just, it scares me. The crazy thing, like a week ago, a dolphin washed up dead, it had bite marks all over it, and the crazy thing is, I Googled this, and this is like facts. Here's some educational about mammals. The dolphin skin is 20 times stronger than any other regular mammal, and in the farther they dive deep, their skin, they must shed their skin, and then it's how their skin rejuvenates from having wounds and stuff like that. It's totally amazing. I always like to learn new things. So, but let's get about these two. Now, the interesting thing between the two, one feature that I don't know if it's all Yamahas, but this Yamaha has over all the Sea-Doos, is this comes standard with an automatic bilge pump. Meaning, if you're not familiar what that is, if there's water gets in here, in the back, in the hull, it starts automatically pumping it out. I added one on my RXT-X before I sold it, but it's cool, it comes standard with that. I have one I bought through Sea-Doo to install myself. I need to probably get my act together with doing that, and it's sometime soon, it's something on my projects to do. But that's one of the features. I'll do a little walk around here so you guys kind of can see how they're shaped. They are obviously shaped differently, and you can feel the difference of how the hull is shaped, how it rides. Like this is kind of shape of a bullet. That's kind of like a duckbill is what I'm kind of looks like to me. But this is kind of the walk around of what these two machines look different of all their options and stuff. And it's kind of cool to have them all next to each other, which showing you guys in this video, because I've kind of shown other videos, but not like straight all together. So both kind of have similar size and storage. So what this with the Yamaha is, give it a good little pull, and yeah, it has some decent storage. I mean, to me, I don't need to be hauling like I'm going on an expedition. Just pretty much everything I need is what's in my backpack. I don't need to haul a bunch of stuff, because you do with these skis, the more weight you put them, you will feel it differently. Now I have to say, just because I know somebody's going to say in the console, well, the RXT-X has all this storage here. Yes, it does, but if you put all your weight in the front, it just doesn't kind of make sense. So you're going to feel really heavy in the front, and you'll feel it when you're riding. I know from experience with owning one. If you feel like you get to go on a safari, then I would put like storage in the back. Like there's racks and stuff like it. Put all the weight in the back. You don't want to put it on the front, but it's a whole nother subject. But here's the storage on the RXP X. I mean, I'd have to say it's somewhat similar. It's a little bit different here. It's like, this is how you get into this area. That's like where your battery and your diagnostic port is. And then you can kind of see in the past one with that. Here's like the difference between the handlebars. These are adjustable, and actually this technology came from SeaDoo. It is on the Sparks Tricks. It's a nice thing with them coming up. The hard thing though is when you jump in heavy waves with extending it all the way up. I've got a little bit of movement in this, but nothing crazy with it getting loose. I like though is how these are set up, because it really gives you that feel of like an aftermarket handlebars than to what like one like that or like other brand, you know, Yamaha, SeaDoo, Kawasaki's all look a lot different to what this one comes standard. I'll show you guys on the other side too what the handlebars look up close. A new future mod I'm going to be doing is going with the Riva one. So you still use all this parts. It's just the bars in the center are going to change with that. This is kind of what the gauge cluster looks like. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles like I would say like the SeaDoo has. But also too, without having all those bells and whistles, it's one last thing that can go wrong to having problems. That's kind of something to think about. You know, it's cool to have all those electronics, but if you're out in the water and something goes wrong, it's one more thing that could go wrong by having all that gadgets. This is the storage on the front compartment on this, on the Yamaha. I'll show you guys on the other side. This is the storage on an RXP X. It has a fair amount, both have a fair amount of storage right up front, and that's to me what's more crucial. Then I have to say like my RXT-X, it didn't have a lot of storage up front, and that's more crucial to me what you have like where you need to reach than something where it's like all the storage up front. This is kind of what the gauge cluster looks like on this one, and there's different modes you can go in there. The thing with SeaDoo's, like this one has IBR, so it's the brakes on this. The Yamaha doesn't have brakes. Now the one thing though with the IBR, if it goes bad and can get locked up, you could be basically stuck right in neutral and you can't move at all, and there's nothing you can do if the electronics fail on this. So it could be something that happen real soon, or it could be something when you get a couple hundred hours. That would really not be fun being stranded somewhere with that, but that's something to think about. That does have reverse, which that side would be reverse on the Yamaha. And the IBR stands for intelligent brake and reverse. Now you can kind of see here too with the hull design is how differently shaped these are. This is kind of what the SeaDoo looks like, and you can totally tell the difference of what the Yamaha is shaped differently. and there's grooves in the hull and all that you can see here. This I'll have to say though, is in certain speeds, this thing actually is really nice how this is designed. Now the interesting comments I've had people say is, oh, the Yamaha is so ugly and looks outdated. The thing to take in effect when you're looking at this is all one piece. This is an add-on trim, but this is the hull. All this is one piece. Now, and this is why it's so hard to explain to people, but this is to set the story straight with this. This, and this is one piece, right? This is all add-on stuff, like a little body kit. So if you took all this off, that's why this is all looks so cool, is all this like extra stuff added. Then that is all what you see as one piece. That's something to take in effect of what the appearance is, why it looks like that. But also too, like the crazy thing is wear and tear from riding. And I've owned this for a year. You see, this is just like a vinyl sticker that's in here. And it's already starting to peel off with that, which is kind of upsetting. I mean, I have to say, they both look awesome. I wouldn't say one looks better than the other. I mean, it's kind of cool not to have something that just looks like everybody else. And also, too, like the design. You look at here in this whole piece, when it comes up, the mirrors are all attached into this, and how separate this is. You can also see, too, the gas cap are kind of similar or different, how they are all in there. I think it's neat is how different they are. Now, let's talk about storage. Is you open this up on the back. Oh, this is so cool. I'll tell you. So this is a 3-person one. Then that's a 2-person one. And this is what the rear seat comes up. Now the cool thing, storage, and a lot of people might not be aware of this. This is all a storage, waterproof storage container that is in here. So actually this thing has a lot of storage when you look at it. And this is kind of like, if you want to get at something real quick, you can have a lot of stuff you want to have waterproof in here. And I have to say that's the one thing I'm pretty impressed with this. That all gets into different parts like your battery and whatnot. In here, this is where you run to connect if you're running the thing to clean out the coolant system. The system is right here. Now I'll show you guys. Pop in the hood. I'll try doing all this stuff one-handed. So this is kind of what the whole engine bay looks like on a GP1800r. Hidden behind here is electronics like the ECU and whatnot. In here, I added the Riva Racing, the engine breather kit. But interesting things like the superchargers right here, if you're not familiar with it, the intercooler. This is the airbox. The interesting thing to stock, this actually has an air filter in it. Then how SeaDoos are, they have an air filter built into the intake manifold. You cannot take out unless you drill it out. That, I don't know why, that doesn't make sense. Air filter, it'd be like having anything and saying this is the air filter how it always is for the life of the engine. That doesn't make sense with any type of gas powered engine, but that's what SeaDoo does. You can see in here it's a lot of room, like the oil filters right here. You've even seen, I did a video showing how you change the oil on this. It's kind of a nice setup. I'm planning on powder coating my engine, my valve cover soon, and be a sneak peek what that will be when that happens. I'm not saying anything until I do it. And probably what I'm going to do is order another one and do that to that one, and then keeping this one in case later down the road I want to sell it or whatnot, just so that there's not a downtime without having one in general on the ski in case I want to ride it. Now let's show what the engine looks like on the RXP X. So you can see here is obviously this engine is not stock. It's modified. It has the Riva Racing intake, cold air intake. So the supercharger, that's another interesting thing here too. Here when you saw the engine bay, the Yamaha, the supercharger's up front. this all kind of makes sense when you think about something being built. And this is not knocking either brand. This is just stating facts from what my opinion is. So the supercharger is back here. So you have this whole intake running for all the way over here. Then that, if you put an aftermarket intake, you're just sucking fresh air straight. It's nothing taking it from the back here. So that's something to take in effect. The intercooler is also here in the back. I'm pretty positive they're about similar to the size intercoolers between the two, but this one's kept way in the back. The exhaust, I did an aftermarket Riva Racing water box and their free flow exhaust system. There's stuff coming. What I'm going to be doing to that. You guys got to stay tuned. But yeah, so the thing that's kind of sucks when you do the intake on this, you see the stock one intake would run underneath here, so under the engine block, and get air. So no matter what, I just think that design stock just doesn't make any sense. I don't know, but I mean, that makes sense of how everything's all up front, where you'd figure you'd want to have that, so it's not by the heat of the exhaust. But anyways, so if you want to do any oil change or whatnot, you actually have to pull this part off, and it doesn't slip out. You got to push it in. It's a routine to put it all on and off, but that's because the filler cap for the oil is underneath there. If you had to pull the valve cover off, I would have to pull the whole intake out. And I added this onto the heat wrap because the seat would get a little hot with having the intake right up here. And then this also has an engine oil catch can, which you cannot see, but it is hidden behind there. And also too, this is a closed loop cooling system, and that's an open loop cooling system. Interesting fact is most people who race Sea-Doos change it to become an open loop cooling instead of a closed loop cooling. Closed loop cooling is more for stock or slightly modified. So that's something to be comparing them to. Also too, that's why I filmed this video now, because actually I got a jet trim custom seat cover that I'm going to install in. I might do it back to back right after this video is filmed at. But yeah, I tore the stock seat, and I've never installed one, so I'm probably going to take it up. You got to take this all off, put the new one on, and I'm pretty positive I can do it. I'm pretty good at working on stuff. But that's the crazy thing too with this ski. Now let's talk about weight. So you could have two people on here that equal 399 pounds. So that's something to think about. Or one person with luggage equaling 399 pounds. I don't know what you'd be hauling. It's just stuff to take in effect. The skis, they're not really, it could say that, but I can tell you the experience. You put too much weight on this thing, it's really hard to ride. Also too, this one has adjustable sponsons that come stock. Then this one has fixed ones. My next mount I'm planning on doing is either the work racing ones or the Riva racing ones. I haven't decided yet which one I want to go with. But that kind of gives you the idea what these look like. These aren't adjustable. That one is adjustable. So this kind of gives you a walk around. Maybe we should go in the back and I can show you guys what it kind of looks like in a comparison in the back. Sorry, I got all these fans and stuff. With how hot it is here, humidity builds up, and it's good to get all this stuff like dried out and whatnot. So this is what the back looks like on this. There's a lot of stuff, and even too, if you've seen the video when I changed the prop out on this, it was not easy, but it wasn't hard, it's super hard. But there's a lot of stuff. There's a whole step to drop this thing down. That gets to where if something went bad, you could be really. I would hate to be stuck out in the middle of the ocean or sinking. I don't know. I'd rather be stuck because I have a paddle. Sinking scares me. This is the cool thing with Yamaha with this model. It comes standard with a ladder, which I think is pretty cool. You can buy a ladder for this, but you have to drill in the hull to do it, and you have to pay for it. That's what's cool, how this comes with it. The other thing too, with flushing this one, most of the time when I go in the ocean, the one thing with this carbon seal that a lot of people don't realize, so you could connect the flush to exhaust, because that's the only thing you're flushing, because this is a closed loop cooling. Like when I go to the ocean, usually what I've been doing now is going to fresh water, bringing the whole trailer in, because I had some wires get corroded by not doing this, and this is now my routine is. I dip it all the way. The whole trailer is sitting in the water, so I had to get in the water. I run both these for a couple of minutes, so it's running fresh water through the system. The thing is when you run too long with connecting with exhaust in this carbon seal that's underneath the ski, it does not get, it gets cooled down by water, being in the water, not out of the water. So even when you hardly start it, you know, like revving these up or whatever, I no longer start this thing out of the water unless it's like less than like 20 seconds, not even that. Just the fear of this carbon seal issue. And that's partly what causes the problem. And some of these people, while they have it in solar earlier hours, could have been installed wrong, or that they're running it so long out of the water. But if you've seen that a couple of videos back where somebody had the same one of these and they stored in the water, so it's not even going out in the trailer, and they're sunk at like 67 hours. That's totally crazy. And its whole life has been just living in the river. But that's just stuff, kind of how this goes with these Sea-Doos. But that's something just for you guys to know. I no longer flush this out of the water. I leave it in the water when I flush it after being in salt water, because you're only flushing the exhaust. Also too, it helps by, besides protecting the carbon seal, it gets water circulating around the prop and all those areas where there's not salt water sitting, because you could spray your salt away or any of those ones that can get the salt off, but you're never going to get way up in there the best at dipping this stuff in fresh water afterwards. This is what the back looks like on this. This drops down when you put it down in reverse. Also too, the speedometer on these, this is GPS. This has a wheel that's underneath. Right, I don't know if I can get on video. Right where my finger is, right there. So that spins, it shows the speed. Now, to get a real accurate speed on this, you can add, there's a company that has one you can put on this that has a GPS with it, but there is no GPS on this, which is kind of nice. That's one last thing, and that's where tuning this thing, my first big mod is having the Riva Stage 1 kit, was reflashing the ECU that completely unlocked this thing to its full potential of driving. Also too, I've shown in past videos kind of what the turf is on these. Really nice on both. The seat design here too also gets you guys an idea of what this thing looks like and the shape of it when it's out of it. I have to say the biggest selling point with the RXP X out of any brand is the seat is just, man, amazing design. This one is a little bit different, but also too it really reminds me of like a saddle, like on a horse. I'm gonna do a different one with this because I have to say, like, the carbon fiber, really grippy, real nice. The white here, not so grippy when you get wet, plus it gets dirty. So I am gonna be going with direct trim with some type of custom one, but I haven't figured out what I'm doing with the wrap on this yet, so that's kind of deciding where the seat goes from there. But this gives you an idea of what this all looks like. The big thing you guys probably want to know is how these two ride differently. The GP1800R, you sit differently. I've shown this in past videos where your legs are more up, like around in this position when you're on it. That one, you sit on the RXP X, you sit totally different on it. It kind of reminds me like kind of like a crotch rocket seat is what this, I think that's where they came up with the idea of this. It really feels like a sport bike. So your legs are more shaped coming back. So like my foot is right here. So you're more like squatting. I don't want to say squatting, but your legs are more back in here, not up here. So the ride is a little bit different how you sit in them. Pretty much stock to stock, they're nearly identical. 69 governor speed with the United States with the Coast Guard, 68. But riding, this thing cuts to the water. Like a lot of people are like, I've heard some of these people think this was a downgrade buying from having the RXT-X. And I'll tell you, whoever says that, you're like, I don't want to say you're crazy, but like, you don't know what you're talking about. This thing is so nimble for being a 3-person jet ski that is as nimble as this rocket ship, the RXP X. They're really, for handling wise, and the sponsors are adjustable, so I have it in full race mode all the time riding with this on the RXP X. Handling wise, it was just a dream on both of them, really nimble. They both all have the trim adjust up and down on both skis. This is, they call it trim, that's called VTS on that one. This also comes with a remote. That one has 2 different keys, a green key and a yellow key. The yellow key has it where it has all the potential. The green key, it's reduced on speed and whatnot. This one has a remote that you can store in here, and they actually have a little thing where you put it and you can lock it, like security lock it where it cannot start, because all you have to do is just have something that lifts up here and you press start and it goes. But with having it locked, you cannot drive away with it. It also has it in L mode, which is same as like what the green key would be with that, where it reduces the speed. I'm trying to think what else to kind of talk about here. I think the biggest thing is, well, even too with that open loop cooling on this, this is where it has water flushes out through there. The funny thing too is people make fun of this, where the water comes out the back. And I have to tell you though, it's out here in South Carolina, where there's real twists and turns and stuff. Anything have more people notice you so you don't get hit by a boat, the better. Also too, people might knock that, man. I love having a super soaker standard with this thing. So you just have the water up, you can spray somebody just with the water alone with this. And you can't beat that, having a super soaker all the time on this. The nice thing too is on both of these, the mirrors are really good on visibility where you don't have to turn your head. But a lot of times if you're changing around, moving around, it's always good to take a good look back to keep eye on traffic. If there's traffic, if there isn't traffic, loading and unloading, they're pretty much the same. But yeah, they do look completely different. And you have to kind of see them in person to get an idea how they're all shaped and what this all is with them. But they are both wicked machines. I hope this helps anybody visibly see them and kind of seeing what the standards are between the two. They're both amazing machines. Just remember, the weakest link on this is the carbon seal, and that doesn't matter any of the SeaDoos. They're all like that, and it's been from kind of since they started with that. So that's the biggest thing I have to say. And I've seen it, and I don't think your warranty covers when you sink. The hard thing too is they don't, like, the warranty doesn't even cover fixing that from what I know. The hard thing too is everybody's like, warranty this, warranty that. The reality, when it's the season, I don't care where you live, they're backed up on work. So they say they're like a couple weeks out. That means you're waiting a long time riding. That doesn't even matter if you had to pay for it out of your pocket. So if you live in an area where like the Midwest or whatnot, where you don't have that, you only got a couple months to ride. One thing goes wrong could cost you the whole season of riding unless you know how to fix stuff yourself. So that's something to think about when you're purchasing one, and probably through who you're buying it from and who you know. But this is the end of the video. Make sure you pick up some of the I Am Beowulf merch at IamBeowulf.com. Also, make sure you guys give me a follow on Instagram. It's IAM_Beowulf. Also, too, I have a Amazon store where I have all like the gear I use, so it could come to like stuff for your trailer, different tie downs, accessories, cleaning supplies, oil, like you name it, it's all on there. Like sunglasses, the gear I use, filming equipment, whatnot. It's all listed in different categories there. Check that out. That's at Amazon.com/shop/IamBeowulf. Take a look at it. I hope this answers some questions. I don't want to talk about in this video which one is better, because one is super modified and one's like a little modified. So it's really hard to say which one is better. It all again comes to what you're looking for in options. I'll have to say though, is this thing's 100 times better than what my RXT-X I have, what I used to own. That's just my opinion. Everybody is different, but this thing feels a lot lighter when you're riding in the water. To the RXT-X felt really heavy, and it was like I think like a foot over a foot longer than this too. You can actually tell from adjustment on the trailer. This is how far back I had to move this to what, that's where the RXT-X, where that end used to be. So the RXT-X was really long. And this one I had to position just right. So it is sitting a little bit farther back than the RXP X. So it does take a difference in length if you're looking at comparing that. Both are really nice. Also too, I don't always use the brake on the SeaDoo, and riding this without having a brake, it's kind of like you have to remember that, because you cannot hit this when you're riding to stop. But realistically, there's so many brands out there like Kawasaki and all of them, they don't have that, or especially if you go renting a jet ski somewhere else, it won't have brakes either. So it's something I wouldn't say is a selling point between the two. Both are amazing. Buy what you like. The difference too is one's 3-person, one's 2-person. The RXP-X doesn't really like to have a lot of weight on there, like passenger wise. I've rode with my mom came in town. I had her on the back, and you really couldn't feel that she was on there. I could still zip it around and stuff, but when you have passengers of any type of jet ski, you will feel it, and you can't ride it to its full potential because you might throw off the other person. So that's something to think about. But that's the end of the video. Let me know if you guys want me to do an update thing, if anything I missed talking about this, and I can redo some add-on things and just some newer stuff. But this is kind of a comparison. This isn't to say which one is better. This gets you kind of to see a side-by-side comparison of what the different options are between the two, because these are two separate manufacturers too. Kind of like Ford versus Chevy, Chevy versus Ford, Dodge versus Chevy. You know, like, I don't know. To me, I'd love for all the brands. There's not one I would say is junk. What is better, you should be open-minded with everything in life and not be thinking it's this way or the highway with certain stuff. I'm like that with cars. I kind of buy what I like. I wouldn't say one's better. You kind of go off of what their track record is of what stuff has gone wrong. That's the end of the video. I want to get the seat started installing on that, so I'm going to work on the next video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Be driven to win. Make sure to remember the biggest thing every day is Earth Day. I'll see you guys back in the next one. Peace out, Beowulf.